the butterfly gardener. Iris loved the way butterflies died. Not the actual dying part, she wasn't cruel, but the way they could be preserved, perfect and beautiful forever. Her bedroom walls were covered with careful drawings of every specimen she'd ever seen, each wing pattern meticulously detailed in colored pencil. Sometimes she imagined she could hear them rustling against the paper, trying to take flight. "Iris, time to come in!" Her mother's voice carried across the backyard, where Iris was trying to sketch a painted lady before it fluttered away. The sunset painted the sky in bruised purples and deep oranges, and mosquitoes were beginning to whine near her ears. "Just 5 more minutes," she called back, not looking away from the butterfly. But it wasn't the painted lady that caught her eye now. It was something else, something larger, drifting at the edge of the woods. Its wings shimmered with colors she'd never seen before, like oil on water or broken glass in sunlight. Without thinking, she followed it. The butterfly led her deeper into the woods than she'd ever gone before, past the old oak tree that marked the edge of where she was allowed to play. She barely noticed the ring of reddish-brown mushrooms until she was stepping through them, a perfect circle, each cap gleaming like dried blood in the fading light. A shiver ran through her body as she crossed the boundary, but the butterfly was just ahead, and she couldn't turn back now. The air grew thick and sweet, like overripe fruit about to turn. When the butterfly finally landed, Iris found herself in a garden she'd never known existed. Roses grew in impossible colors, midnight blue and deep silver, their petals transparent as glass. But it was the butterflies that made her gasp. Hundreds of them lined the garden walls, mounted on display boards that stretched up into the twilight. Their wings gleamed with unnatural iridescence, each one more beautiful than the last. "They're exquisite, aren't they?" Iris spun around. A woman stood among the roses, tall and elegant, wearing a dress that seemed to be made of butterfly wings. Her smile was beautiful, but something about it made Iris's teeth ache. "I'm the gardener," the woman said, extending a hand as pale as moth wings. "I've been watching you, little artist. You understand beauty, don't you? The need to preserve it?" Iris nodded, though something in her chest fluttered with warning. "Would you like to see my special collection?" The gardener led her to a wall of glass cases. "These are my perfect ones." The butterflies here were different, larger, with patterns Iris had never seen in any book. As she leaned closer, she saw something that made her heart stop. Within the intricate patterns of one wing, she could make out what looked like a tiny screaming face. "Sometimes," the gardener said softly, "the only way to keep beauty from fading is to transform it into something eternal." She traced a finger along one of the glass cases. "Would you like to be beautiful forever, Iris?" That night, Iris couldn't sleep. The faces in the wings haunted her. She crept downstairs to her father's study and searched the local news archives on his computer. Over the past 50 years, 12 children had gone missing in these woods. Each disappearance was preceded by sightings of unusual butterflies. She knew she had to stop the gardener. The next evening, she returned to the garden with a jar of salt water. Everyone knew salt was poison to fairies. But her hands were trembling. The gardener was waiting. "I knew you'd return. They always do." Her dress rippled, and Iris realized it wasn't made of butterfly wings at all. The wings were growing from the gardener's own back, vast and terrible. "The others," Iris whispered, "the missing children, are all here." The gardener gestured at the walls. "Preserved in perfect beauty. Would you like to see?" She touched one of the glass cases, and Iris saw the wings flutter weakly. The faces in the patterns became clearer, children's faces, frozen in eternal horror. Iris reached for the jar, but the gardener was faster. Glass shattered on the ground, salt water seeping harmlessly into the earth. "Now," the gardener said, "let's make you beautiful." The transformation began at Iris's fingers. Her skin hardened into delicate scales that caught the light like prisms. She tried to scream, but her mouth was already changing, mandibles replacing teeth, her bones hollowed, organs shifting and dissolving. The other butterflies watched with their human eyes as Iris's consciousness was trapped inside her new form. Her last human thought was that the colors really were beautiful, even as they consumed her. Years later, another young girl wandered into the garden at twilight. She marveled at the butterfly specimens, especially the newest one, violet wings with startlingly human eyes, mounted in the center of the collection. "That's my favorite," the gardener said, materializing among the roses. She stroked the glass case lovingly. "She's been with us for years now, but she never fades, never ages, perfect forever." Behind the glass, in wings that would never fly, Iris screamed silently as the young girl stepped closer to admire her beautiful prison. In the deepening dark, the garden bloomed with trapped souls, and the gardener smiled, waiting for the next child who loved butterflies just a little too much.